It is time to talk all things New York Jets and how they will fill the quarterback position this offseason. Names to covet, names to avoid, and much more all coming up here on a Sunday morning edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, joined by our guy Green Bean, who will now be a first-time guest on NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend, Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, Sunday, February 23rd, 2025. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button. You are subscribed to the channel. It's completely free and helps us grow significantly here on YouTube. That's the free way. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL draft. The paid way that helps us grow just as much, throw the ticker on down below. Every membership you gift and every $2.99 super chat will give you a ticket into our membership raffle. Last chance to give memberships to get in on the raffle will be February 26th, and we'll be drawing the winner on the 28th. The prize we're giving away this month include a Joe Klecko signed jersey, a Mark Gastineau signed jersey, a Bill Parcells signed photo, free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. So get in on that if you haven't already. The more tickets you have, the better chance you have to win. Appreciate you all tuning in. Like I said, but let's bring on our guest for today's show, fellow New York Jets content creator, Green Bean joins us. You know him from Talking Jets, Monday Night Mock, Thursday Thick of It. Bean, how you doing?
Good, man. I know I forgot that this is the first time that I'm on your show, so I'm a little bit more excited now. This is great. I appreciate you having me on finally, bud.
Bean, it's so happy we are able to do this because I've been on the Thursday Thick of It twice. I was on it during free agency last year, and then I was on it right before the season starts. And I'm so happy that now we're able to collaborate first time here on NY Flight Jets Talk. I guess where I'm going to start, Bean, is the Aaron Rodgers news. I know it's a little bit past us, but I just want your initial reaction after moving off of him. What are your thoughts? Were you in the boat that, well, he gives us the best chance to win, I don't care how much he costs, I want to pay him? Were you in the boat, we need a new chapter? Where were you on that whole fiasco?
Well, admittedly, I was somewhere in the middle. So I at the end of the season, I just wanted this whole thing to end, right? Like I wanted the Ulbrich and his crew gone. I wanted Aaron Rodgers gone. I wanted all the old vets gone. You know, I just wanted to keep all the, kind of the young bucks from the Quincy Williamses and the Garrett Wilsons of the world and all those guys. And let's just push reset and start over. But as I settled a little bit, I started to, the idea that, coming off the Achilles injury and the really abysmal job that Tyron Smith did at left tackle, the first half of the season was really bad as far as the offensive line went. And here we go. We got these guys, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers. They got that season together. And I was kind of starting to lean into this idea, run it back, because we're not going to be able to, really improve that this year. It'll probably be somewhat of a transitional year, but we still have enough horses to maybe win, get these guys their second year together. But truth is, I totally get it. Having a rookie offensive coordinator in Tanner Engstrand, rookie head coach. If anything does go a little bit off kilter, you got Aaron Rodgers out there on the McAfee show, and it could taint the whole thing. It's like if you're going to clean a house, you can't leave, one corner of the room dirty. So it's like if you're going to clean it. It hurts my heart because we had a guy with 3,900 yards, Hall of Famer, who wants to be here, and we got to move off him. So it hurts on one side. But underneath everything, I think it makes the most sense if we're going to do this thing, give this new regime the best chance to kind of make their stamp on the team, on the culture and everything. So it hurts, but I get it.
Here's my thing, Bean. You mentioned him going on the McAfee show. It felt like every week since the Cardinals game he went on there, it was like he almost wanted to be cut from the Jets. The way he was talking, oh, I've never been cut by a teenager before. Oh, wouldn't it be crazy if I was cut by the Jets? I was overall in the boat of not bringing him back because, like you said, I think you need to completely clean the house. You got to move on. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is the main reason the Jets were 5-12 last season. There were a lot of other factors, primarily coaching. Your kicker missing several opportunities to win the game. So there's a lot that went in there. But the fact that a lot of people just automatically say, nope, Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with the 5-12 record
Yeah.
is where I draw the line. He's the quarterback of the team. He had some horse in the race as to why the Jets went 5-12 last season. Now, Bean, let me get your thoughts on these Kirk Cousins rumors. They're nauseating for me. You look what he did with the Falcons last year. Benched for a rookie quarterback 5 games in, threw a ton of interceptions. Arm looked shot. Really can't move around at all. And a lot of people are going to point to his success with Kevin O'Connell and say, well, he's a team guy. Get him for cheap. Look what he did with the Vikings. Well, look what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings. They have a very strong offensive line. They have a lot of pass catchers. They have an elite running game, and Kevin O'Connell is their head coach. I'm looking at what Kirk Cousins did last year. You can say he had the Achilles injury, blah, blah, blah. His head coach was Raheem Morris, a first-time defensive-minded head coach, cough, cough, Aaron Glenn, and he did nothing. He was benched 5 games in for a rookie quarterback. So I'm avoiding Kirk Cousins at all costs. If the Jets are going to go that route, I would have preferred them to just keep Rodgers.
Yeah, and the only real differentiator there would be the money piece,
Exactly.
right? Like, but and so you could make a case, but I happen to agree with every single word that you said. If you're going to go that route and bring in kind of an aging, vet kind of a guy, just keep the guy that's here. And look, there's lots of hearsay, people are tired of Aaron Rodgers and all that. But I think by and large, they all got along, the players inside the locker room. So if you're going to do that and get that, go that route, I would say just keep Aaron Rodgers. I'm really hoping that we don't hear that at the beginning of free agency or whatever, the Jets have acquired Kirk Cousins. I just think it's a big waste of time. And I would be very disappointed as kind of the kickoff move of this regime, man.
Now, Bean, how do you want the Jets overall to address the quarterback position? I'm big on paying Justin Fields $8 million to come in on a 1-year deal, see what he has, because he's not a traditional bridge option. What you want in a bridge quarterback, you want someone to bridge you to your future of the franchise. Justin Fields can be the bridge to himself, potentially, if that makes sense. He showed glimmers of hope that he has the potential to be more than just a bridge quarterback, but he's never had that sustained success that Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji spoke a lot about during their introductory press conference. I want Justin Fields in here because he's going to be 26 years old in a couple months, a ton of upside, was 4-2 in 6 starts with the Steelers. I'm on the Justin Fields train right now.
Yeah. Well, and look, here's the thing. Like, so you mentioned, he's had glimmers of, kind of a pretty good football play. Yeah. The thing that impressed me most with him in Pittsburgh is that his stats don't jump off the page. I mean, there's 150 yards, 175 yards. He had that 300 and plus yard game. But generally speaking, we're looking at less than 200 yards, 1 touchdown kind of a thing. He had some yards and a few touchdowns with his legs as well. But what he really did is he played efficient football, which is when you look at a guy like Justin Fields, he was known for, kind of making bonehead mistakes, bad decisions, taking risks that he needed to, didn't need to take. And when he's with Pittsburgh, I think, having a year in an organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers can teach you a whole hell of a lot when you're going from an organization that, look, they're very much like the Jets, the Chicago Bears. They just constant, turnover, not really making the smartest moves, not doing things the right way. They're not a well-oiled machine when you look at an organization. Now, the Steelers are, like you said, he had a record of 4-2. Now, a lot of that can be attributed to the defense, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't exclude that. But a quarterback that can play efficient can give you a really great chance to win. Like you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers being a part of the problem. Like he's not the only reason, right? And we know that. The defense, the kicker, all kinds of fun stuff. But one great example of Aaron Rodgers being the problem was in the Seattle game where he missed Garrett Wilson. We were about to go up 3 scores. He misses Garrett Wilson wide open. It was a pitch and catch. It was like an 8-yard pass. in the end zone. The next pass is a pick six to Leonard Williams, and we got a 14-point swing right there. And that's the kind of stuff when you're playing efficient football that you alleviate. Now, Justin Fields, like you said, is really interesting. If I'm being truthful, do I have a lot of hope that, this, reclamation project would, pay dividends for the Jets? We're not really the organization where quarterbacks go to revitalize their careers.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened with Vinny Testaverde back in 1998, a little before your time there. But generally speaking, you see it. Our quarterbacks, they leave here and go do well a couple of years later. But getting Justin Fields, like you said, he's 25. He's going to be 26 years old. He has incremental improvement over the last few years. I would say get him on a 2-year contract.
Okay.
And then in the event, so look, one is he plays lights out. He settles in. You love him. Everything's working. Now you got your quarterback next year. If not, you could do a lot worse than having Justin Fields as your number 2 when you bring in a rookie or, whatever other quarterback route that you go in 2026. So I'm actually in the Justin Fields camp. I wouldn't, again, I'm not walking around with pom-poms saying it's going to save the franchise, but I think it's a smart move with low risk, high reward. There it is. I almost said it backwards. So I'm right with you there on Justin Fields, actually.
So, Bean, here's the one thing. I don't think he's going to want a 2-year deal. I think he's going to want a 1-year prove-it deal where he has the opportunity to get a starting job, just because I could see him and his agent looking around and seeing, look what Geno Smith has done. Look at what Sam Darnold has done. I don't want to be tied up in a 2-year deal. So he's the type of guy I can see trusting himself and say, I trust myself. If I earn a starting job, I'm going to explode. Because let's say he has, a Sam Darnold type of year where he completely revitalizes his career.
Right.
He's going to be locked. He's going to be locked into that same team, probably the Jets in this scenario, for 2 years compared to just, you get 1 year, boom, and then he gets paid, big money. We're talking about paying a quarterback like Justin Fields $8 million next year. Now we're seeing quarterbacks in the NFL getting paid $30, $40, $50 million a season. So the chance that the fact that you can bring in someone like Justin Fields who has a lot of upside is really interesting for me. Here's the thing, Bean. Here's the main reason I want Justin Fields. You mentioned he's shown glimmers of hope. You signed Jameis Winston for $5 million. You know what you're getting in Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
He's hit his ceiling. You know what you're getting in Taylor Heineke if you sign him for $2.5 million. You know what you're getting with Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco. There's still that, little unknown with Justin Fields that he still has something left in the tank that you might be able to unlock compared to trying to overpay an aging veteran who's probably going to be out of the league in 2 years. Anyways, appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Green Bean and Connor here with you on a Sunday morning edition of NY Fly Jets Talk. Get your questions in. We'll go to those. Call into the show with a pinned comment at the top of the chat. Greg Rallo in the building comes in and says, just stay with we have and add Dart and let's go. Bean, I'm not big on Jackson Dart.
Me neither.
He's my quarterback 5 being in this year's class, so I'm probably a bit lower on him than you are. I just think he's someone you're going to need to take. He really, really struggles when pressure bears down. Someone who he does not know how to run a pro level scheme. So you're going to need to, if people are talking about him with the 7th overall pick, I think that's a joke, because I think when you draft someone in the top 10 as a quarterback, especially, you want them to come in and perform like an average quarterback right away. That's not Jackson Dart. No matter where he's selected, he's going to have to sit for a year because you need to teach him how to play the position at the pro level. I'm not big on Jackson Dart at all. Reminds me a lot of Zach Wilson.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. He reminds me of Zach Wilson, and you said it best. If you use a top 10 pick on a quarterback, there's going to be an outcry, a lot of energy behind the idea that he should be able to start. Look, we followed our traditional formula of rookie defensive head coach paired with a rookie general manager. We already did that. Now, thank God Spielman's in the house. It softens that a little bit for me. But the other piece of the trifecta is let's get that rookie defensive head coach paired with a rookie general manager, and let's get a rookie quarterback and throw him right in there, baby. Like, I can't. It's a recipe for disaster. And we've seen it. How many times do we have to watch this? So look, if Jackson Dart is there with your second and they're high on him and you can have that conversation. It should be absolutely off the table as a first round pick. And Connor, as soon as we see, in the combine, he's going to throw that beautiful deep fade in his shorts in his pro day, and everybody's going to go, woo, and he's going to shoot up the draft boards. Can we not be the team that falls for that yet again? So I'm not the biggest Jackson Dart fan. In truth, I would rather avoid the quarterback position this year.
What I was going to say.
It happens to be a deep draft in positions that we have holes in. We have a lot of holes. We have a lot of talent.
Yep.
We have a lot of holes. Specifically defensive tackle, tight end, safety, and this draft
offensive line depth.
Yeah, I mean, this draft is deep in those positions. We have 8 picks. Use this draft, secure as best you can. Who's going to fill those positions and maybe even get some depth for the pipeline going into next year. I would avoid the quarterback position in entirety in this draft.
Yeah, so, Bean, I have an interesting stance when it comes to the quarterback position this year. There are certain names I want to covet potentially in rounds 3 or 4. Like, I'm a really, really big Will Howard fan. He's my quarterback, too, in this year's class behind Cam Ward. I just think he's super accurate. He's ran a pro-level offensive scheme at Ohio State. We're talking 6'4", 235 pounds. Like I said, Chip Kelly was his offensive coordinator, running a pro-level scheme, over 1,800 dropbacks, was very, very accurate. So I'm all for adding a Will Howard in the draft in the right round, though. I'm not adding anyone, in my opinion, in the first 3 rounds. I don't think, I'm no shitter. I'm not trading up for Cam Ward. If he's there at 7, if Cam Ward's there at 7, I think you have to do your own evaluation on Ward. But being the fact that all those quarterback needy teams, like the Giants, the Titans, the Browns, they all pass on Ward and he's still there at 7, or the Raiders, another team, concerns me a little bit as to why all those teams are starting to pass on him. So even if he's there at 7, I don't think it's a sure thing you take him. Dylan Gabriel, someone I like on day 3. Jalen Milroe reminds me a lot of Joe Milton and Anthony Richardson, kind of mixed together. The arm strength of Joe Milton and then the physical build, athlete type that Anthony Richardson is. The question is his accuracy, like Joe Milton, is an absolute mess. So he has in my opinion, Jalen Milroe has the highest ceiling, but he also has the lowest floor. I think Will Howard might have one of the lower ceilings, but he has the highest floor, in my opinion. I'm looking for a high floor here for the Jets if you're really trying to find your franchise guy in this year's class, which I don't think they do. I think they hopefully wait till next year to try to make a move at your franchise guy. Bean, you mentioned the 8 picks the Jets have, one of them 7th overall in this year's draft. What do they do? Are you trying to trade back? Are you trying to add a playmaker? What are you doing at pick 7?
Well, if Ted McMillan is there at 7, it's not even a question for me.
Same.
I mean, right. So I think he's good enough, at a position. I mean, like, the truth is, a wide receiver, now that, it's very likely that Devontae Adams is not going to be here.
And
right? Lazard. So we're really looking at a wide receiver core currently of Garrett Wilson, the very unproven, even though I like him a lot, Malachi Corley and Xavier Gibson. And Irv Charles, who's essentially, he's not really offensive.
Yeah. He's a special teamer.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. So if you compare Ted McMillan with Garrett Wilson and then just kind of see what Malachi Corley is, and whatever other work you do to add a guy here or there, I think that's really a strong move. Now, if Ted's gone, because look, Abdul Carter's going to be gone. Obviously, Travis Hunter's going to be gone. I would take any of those guys if they're sitting there at 7. I'm totally fine with them.
Mason Graham.
Right there. Well, I don't want to take Graham. I like him as a player, but I agree. I do think he's going to be gone anyway. But that all said, if Ted McMillan is not there, I would love a trade back. I don't see a realistic trade back scenario. I mean, there's a couple potentials, but I think you're going to get pennies on the dollar this year. And I don't want to trade back just for the sake of trading back. So, I mean, if you can slide back a couple picks and you feel like, let's say, so Ted's gone, you don't really see a blue chipper. So you're just going to grab the best player at a position in need, in the draft. And that could be, Ty Warren. It could be Malachi Starks. It could be Giad Campbell. Any of those guys at a position that you need to fill.
Will Johnson.
Right. And you're thinking, okay, well, if I slide down 3 picks, the Bears want to come up and get Genty. So, okay, I'll slide back a couple picks. I get a third. If they're even willing to pay that much. I think in this draft, it might be a little bit lower. You might have to, kind of bite the bullet there.
Yeah.
So you gain a third or a fourth, and you still get one of those guys. You squeeze value out of the pick. I'm okay with that. But Connor, I'm going to tell you, in this draft, I'm okay with a big slide back. So if somebody in the back end wants to come up, and you slide back to the 20, the mid 20s, I'm totally fine with that in this draft. There are plenty of guys down there that I think we could get. And if you could squeeze out a first for next year in this quarterback class, to do it, maybe an extra second this year, now we're talking, because there's a kind of a consolidation of the pool from the second to fourth round with whether it's the offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, tight ends, safeties that I really like.
Now, Bean, I have an interesting stance. So, Tim McMillan is my number one player, realistically speaking, for the Jets to covet. I'm really big on him. I did a scouting report on him for Jets X Factor that should be coming out today. So, I'm really high on Tet.
Nice.
We're talking about the big frame that he utilizes at 6'5", 212 pounds, very smooth in the way he moves, great run after catch guy. And, 60% contested catch rate last year in college, 18 contested catches. He's someone who didn't have, he had 8 touchdowns last year, 10 in 2023, 8 and then 8 in 2022. He's not someone who's going to be, he's not someone who's all that efficient in the red zone in college, but you look at his size, 6'5", 212 pounds. I could see Justin Fields, at the 10-yard line, throwing him a back shoulder fade into the end zone every Sunday. So that's something I really, really like about Tet. But at the same time, this wide receiver class, when you look at it, is so deep overall. You have Ted McMillan, you have Luther Bird, and you have Ibuka, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Jack Beck, Matthew Golden, Restrepo, Jaden Higgins, Savion
Trey
Williams,
Harris,
Trey
Harris.
Bond.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's so
Pat
many
Bryant,
guys that
Nick
I like.
Nash, all these names. I'm really, really big on Tyler Warren Bean. I'm going to say that right now. If Tet's off the board, Jets can't find a partner to trade back. Tight end's a position of need. You run that up to the podium, in my opinion. Someone who's able to accelerate, burst after the catch, 6'6", 260 pounds. I'm really, really high on Warren. And you mentioned a big slide back. I'm okay going into the second round if that means giving up this year's first to pick up a first next year, and then the second, and maybe you add like a day 3 pick or two. I would be perfectly fine with that, because a lot of people are calling this draft top heavy. I think it's the other way around. I think the meat and potatoes of this draft comes at the top of the second round, late of the first round. We're talking, the Colston Lovelands, the Xavier Watts, Jahad Campbell, who, after what he did, down in Mobile, he's going to skyrocket up boards. Darius Alexander, Gray Zabel, all these guys, when people were talking about, the Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, they're great players, but I really, really think that the meat and potatoes, the beefy part of this draft comes end of the first round, early of the second round. So I'm okay, like you said, sliding back that deep if that means you're able to pick up some extra capital for next year. Bean, I know we only got a few minutes left with you, so a few questions here before we let you go. Jimmy Jet says, for a bridge guy, you don't need him to throw a lot. For a lot between Fields and Tyrod, we need serviceable. Bean, I don't think it's completely insane. You'll say Tyrod starts 10 games next season, Fields starts 7, or vice versa. It might be a little unlikely, but I don't think it's crazy to say with competent coaching, you add a receiver or two in free agency, offensive line holds up, that this team can't be, 8-9, 9-8 next season. I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world.
Well, I don't think so either. I mean, when you look at this, in our traditional changeover from one coach to the next, you look at our roster and it's abysmal. Even the one that Joe Douglas took over, there was very little redeeming qualities about this roster. So when you look at this, when you have players like a Sauce Gardner, like a Quincy Williams, you have Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. I like the other running backs. I mean, there is a lot of the 4/5 of the offensive line is not only here, but they're young and they've played together for a year. That's a new dynamic for the New York Jets. We haven't had an offensive line come into a second year together in, I mean, it's got to be almost 10 years. Since Mangold left, since that era, it's every year we're starting fresh with a whole new offensive line. So, being able to do that, we have enough here that if you can just play this draft and play free agency right, fill these holes with quality players, I agree with you. I think 8-9 wins is not out of the question. If we can get past that streak of ours, of the longest playoffs, active streak with no playoffs. If we could just do that, just get in the wild card, this year's a success, in my opinion.
For sure. You mentioned the offensive line there. Like I said, this is the first time really since I've been alive, essentially, that the Jets are not looking for like even 3 new starters on this offensive line. Now we're hearing, though, being that the Jets are most likely to move on from Morgan Moses. I want to get your thoughts on that move. It's a move that I've been very vocal on. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. A great locker room guy, a great leader. Just feels like you're creating an extra unnecessary hole. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, look, and we don't know what the deal is there. Maybe who knows? Maybe they had a conversation. He wants to go his last year, try to get on a contender. I mean, but I'm with you. I would have loved to see him come back. I'd love to pencil him in as the starter. I think they should revisit and try to at least take a swing at him. But look, what we have on the roster right now in Carter Warren and Max Mitchell kind of floating around, they've regressed. Both of them have regressed under the tutelage of Keith Carter. So, who knows what we can get out of them, but I would love to see Morgan Moses come here. If you take a guy with your second or third round pick or something along those lines, let him sit for a while. If Morgan Moses can't make it through the season, and then you kind of slow roll somebody in here. I'd love to see him stay. It's unfortunate. It would be great to see the whole offensive line come back, but only needing one piece. Like you said, it's not 3, which is what we're used to.
Everyone smash that like. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Green Bean, Connor, here with you on this Sunday morning edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. I'll stay on here a little longer, answer your questions, take your calls. But Bean, appreciate you hopping on. As always, the final question here I asked every single guest I have on the program. 4 dinner guests, anyone in the world, dead or alive, who are you taking, GB?
In the Jets world?
Anyone. It could be family. It could be the Jets, dead or alive. Who are you taking?
Oh my God, Connor. All right. This is a big one. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I'd say let's start with the Jets guy. I'd love to invite Joe Namath in. I'm going to go all Jets.
Okay,
I'd love to see Joe Namath, Joe Klecko,
2 Joes,
Curtis Martin. Let me dig deep. Let me see a guy that I loved. Let's go Wesley Walker.
There we go. Wesley Walker, friend of the show. We had him on like for almost 2 hours about a year or 2 ago. We're gonna try to get him on. I'm gonna try to get him on, guys, for our draft party, and maybe we'll do another interview with Wesley. That could be super fun. But Green Bean, appreciate you hopping on as always. You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, this was fun, man. I'm sorry. I wish it could be longer.
All good.
On a Sunday. I look forward to the next time. I'm excited. Look, man, we got the combine coming, heading into free agency and then the draft. This is an exciting part of the year. Let's see what this new regime can do. And let's go in positive, everybody. Let's just believe. Let's believe in the new guys. Give them as much positive energy as we can. And maybe we turn this thing around.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guy Green Bean checking in here on the show. Follow him on all social medias if you haven't already. One of the best Jets content creators on the internet. At Bean the Jets Fan on Twitter, Green Bean Jets Fan on YouTube. Give him a follow, give him a sub. One of the best Jets content creators on the whole internet. Like I said, appreciate you sticking with us. I will stay on here, answer your questions, take your calls, call into the show with the pinned comment. Top of the chat, smash the like. Make sure you are subscribed. I threw a poll up. The Mets play at 105 today. Don't have any plans for the game. I said, yes, I will watch. Should I do a watch party for the Mets game at 105 Eastern today? Yes, I will watch, says 41%. No, I won't watch, 59%. So if you want to watch, if you're going to be interested to, tune into our Mets watch party, vote on the poll at the top of the chat. Get your vote in there if you'd want to watch today or not. And then if you guys want to see one, we'll do it. So appreciate you guys as always. Like I said, I'm going to stay on here a little longer, answer your questions, take your calls. So any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, you could do so by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Quick break, and we will be back right here on NY Flight Jets Talk. So stay tuned. February 23rd, 2025, here on this Sunday morning edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Connor Long, I will be back shortly. Appreciate you all sticking with us. Connor Long here with you on NY Flight Jets Talk, February 23rd, 2025. Appreciate you tuning in if you're just joining us. Rewind for the first 25 minutes. Our guy Green Bean, fellow Jets content creator, joined us on the program. Now I will stay on here a little longer, answer your questions, take your calls, keep the questions coming. Super chats will cut the line, though. Call in with a pinned comment. At the top of the chat, freaking Jets in the building, says Fields is trash, bro. Has never thrown more than 2,500 yards. A few things. Look at his supporting cast when he started for a full season with the Bears. No offensive line, no pass catchers, awful coaching. Number one. Number two, the freaking Jets. Who are you getting on the free agent market? Or just overall, it could be a trade target as a realistic option who has more upside overall than Justin Fields. You're able to come to me with a name who has more upside than Justin Fields for the Jets to covet this offseason, then I will listen. But other than that, I think Justin Fields is the most upside among any option for the New York Jets when it comes to finding a bridge quarterback. Any option. Jimmy, and we're acting like Jameis and Stafford will get us to the Super Bowl. So I don't think any of them will get you to the Super Bowl. Jameis certainly won't. Stafford at least could maybe put something together, facilitate a 9-10 win season with Tyrod. But again, overall, I want to go the unknown route. You know what you're getting in both of those guys. I want to go the route of adding a Justin Fields because there's still unknown there. You don't know what you're getting. He has that glimmer of hope that maybe he's more than just a standard, veteran bridge option. But on the other hand, you know what you're getting with Jameis Winston and Matthew Stafford. So that's just not intriguing for me. Justin Fields is a 26-year-old who you're taking a flyer on. He's improved every year when the coaching gets better. Who was 4-2 in 6 starts with the Steelers last year. Is a dual threat type guy. So if you bring him in, you can transition over to a more of a run-heavy offense. That's who I view Justin Fields as. John, Tyson made a great point in his video this morning. First year with this regime should be putting the system and building blocks in place next year. And then when this team is set, get the quarterback next year. Good point. I didn't go back and watch the video. Tyson, though, from Let's Talk Jets, always makes some very, very solid points. So I'm going to go and watch that video, John. Thank you for letting me know. But that's something I was very, very vocal on since the second they hired Aaron Glenn and Darren Mushi. Don't judge year one purely off the record. Did they come in? Was the team more disciplined? Did the penalty numbers drop? Were you not allowing 80 yards in penalties every game? Was there a culture change? That's what you judge year one off. Because this team doesn't have the same roster as they did the past 2 seasons. This isn't an all-in year. It isn't. So this season, just overall, what they do, from record standpoint, it's deeper than that when it comes to evaluating Aaron Glenn and Darren Mushi. The number one Austrian Jet fan comes in with a 10-pack of gifted memberships, and he gets a Jets chat. Our number one Austrian Jet fan, thanks so much for your support on the show. That's 10 more raffle tickets for you. Let me see if I can update it right now. Where are you in the, where are you? Yeah, that's going to be 63. You're up to 63 raffle tickets on the month. Our number one Austrian Jet fan. Thank you so much for your support on the show. Greatly appreciate that. If you hear your name called, you got a membership. And thank Austrian Jet fan. Alan Dodes, Joshua R.A., Zalex, Aurora, Daniel Yans, Brian Scattlebury, EJ, Darren McCullum, Brian Hurst, and Ron P. You are all members thanks to our guy, the number one Austrian Jet fan. Thanks so much for your support on the show. Greatly appreciate it. As always, like I said, 10 more raffle tickets for you. The raffle, which will be your last chance to get in on the raffle, is the 26th of this month, and we'll be drawing the winner on the 28th, the last day of the month. But your last chance to get in on the raffle is February 26th. So get in on that if you haven't already. Where are we in the chat? Lawrence Yance in the building. I prefer doing a trade up if it's not a crazy package to get Cam Ward based on the strength of this year's draft and the quality of players. Shouldn't take as much as other years. Well, what the Titans are going to be asking for is going to be this year's 1, this year's 2, next year's 1, and next year's 2. I'm not doing that. I don't think any player is worth trading up for in this year's draft. If Cam Ward's there at 7, it's a different story. I think you take him. But I don't look at any player in the draft, even Abdul Carter, who's my number 1 ranked player, even Travis Hunter, who's my number 2 ranked player. I don't look at either of those guys and go, boom, he is trade up worthy. He's trade up worthy. I can't. No one offers that for me. No one. Austrian Jet fan gets Fields, Olave, Komet, go. I don't think the Saints are going to trade Olave, number 1. But if they are, I'm offering 2 2s. That's it. I know he's a first-round pick just a few years ago. I don't even know if 2 2s, maybe a 2 and a 4, something like that. Someone who's had 6 concussions over the past few years, that's a little scary. Cole Kmet, though, is a primary weapon for Justin Fields over in Chicago. I wouldn't mind adding him. Big body, big pass catcher. Jets are tight ends a position of need now. 3 pending free agents. All 3 pending free agents. Got to adjust tight end one way or another. You might as well look to Cole Kmet if you had Justin Fields in here. Caden, what day does the combine start? Drill start on Thursday. This Thursday, February 27th. Dope show. Keep punching. Appreciate you, Austrian Jet fan. Thanks so much for all your support, my man. Listen to my holy king, guys. Hit the like button if you aren't a robot. Please hit the like button, guys. Appreciate you as always. Courtney, CL, your thoughts on Clemens getting a pay raise? Does that change your draft approach? That doesn't mean him getting a pay raise does not mean he's still going to stick around with the Jets. I just want to let you know that. That's just saying based on his playing time is the money the Jets owe him went up because he hit some sort of incentives based on how much he played. That doesn't mean the Jets are going to necessarily keep him next season. I think he'll be cut. No, not at all. Because like I said, it doesn't change my draft approach just because the Jets are still probably going to move on. Hennessy, Muji and Glenn want to retool the roster and bring in their own guys. If we trade it, it will be down. Agreed. And I think Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes are going to be really, really big on, in my opinion, bringing guys back, bringing guys they have connections to on the defensive side of the ball to fill those defensive holes. On the offensive side of the ball, it's going to be interesting to see what Tanner Engstrand tries to facilitate. If I had to make a prediction, one free agent signing I think we could see on offense is Tim Patrick. Has the connection to Glenn and Engstrand from Detroit, and then he was with Denver while Muji was there. So I think Tim Patrick is going to be a signing for the Jets. Look, he's not a wide receiver 2 in my opinion. He's not someone I think you plug in next opposite to Garrett Wilson right away. I'd take him as a solid wide receiver 3 option though. I'd still want to add someone else. Armand says, didn't Kmet get released? Let me check. I think he did, actually. Matt get released. I think he did. No, actually, I thought he did, but no. According to Google, he's not been released. I think he's a free agent, though. I think he might be a free agent. Look, he put up big numbers with Justin Fields as his quarterback. He's a big body, big pass catcher, tight end's a position of need. I've always had fun watching Cole Kmet, so why not? Caden, what do you think about Noah Fant? He's okay. He's another veteran type pass catcher. I put him in the same boat of a Cole Kmet, a Mike Gesicki, someone of that nature. I prefer Kmet over Fant, though. Courtney, but if they want to save money and cut him, why pay him? I'm confused. Courtney, it's not that they're not paying him. He hit an incentive. That's why his pay raise went up. Darren Muji's not choosing to pay Michael Clemens. Since he played so much last year, he hit an incentive, which now unlocked this pay raise. The Jets aren't choosing to pay him. Does that make sense? Like, since he played so much last season, unfortunately, he unlocked a pay raise. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are not choosing to pay him. He unlocked a pay raise and an incentive in his contract. By the way, just saw we hit 1,640 subscribers. Thanks so much, guys. We're trying to hit 2,000 by the start of the draft. We're doing a watch party for the first round, so hit subscribe if you haven't already. It's completely free. Helps us grow significantly. Appreciate you tuning in. Going to wrap up here soon, so last chance to call into the show with the pin comment at the top of the chat. Last chance to get your final thoughts in. Appreciate all your support on the show. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Potentially Nick Faria in his weekly spot. He's flying down to Indy, though, so it's still TBD. I'll be on no matter what. Might be Nick Faria. We might have to skip his weekly spot tomorrow because he's going down to Indy. But then Tuesday, we'll have Gunny Gumby on in his weekly spot from New York Jets Situation Report. Matt O'Leary in his weekly spot on Wednesday at 8 p.m. And then Thursday, Cole Thompson, our draft analyst, joins us. And Friday, we sit down with our guy Jeremy from Jets Chaos. So that's the weekly schedule if you guys are interested on the show. So if you're new, appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you're returning, thanks so much for all your support. As always, wrapping up here on this Sunday morning, I am your host, Connor Long, signing off. JETS, 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 Jets.